2025. You're listening to the While We Still Can podcast, where we like to talk about local Missouri politics, national politics, and anything else we really feel like talking about. And today we're going by the nicknames Tired and Depressed. Hello, I'm Tired, and here's my co-host.
I'm depressed. Put me on that registry as well as all the others.
It'll probably be coming that... So the undertone here is talking about putting all the autistic people on a registry. It's going to be a long, big registry. That happens. And, you know, they'll probably do people on antidepressants next.
Fuck. Sign me up. Sign me up. Good thing I'm already sterilized.
Lucky you.
I know. One less eugenic experiment to do on me anyways. It's going to be really fucking boring around here with no autistics.
Oh, Lord. So it's been a week. Holy cow.
Hold on. Let me circle. I'm going to circle back around.
I'm going to circle back to that.
I'm going to circle. Okay, as a doctor, what do you think the main goal here is? Are they trying to tie vaccines to autism? Like, because I feel like, and then they want people to not get vaccinated, and then there'll be less, and then people won't want their kids to be on a registry, so they won't get them tested for autism, so then it'll look like the autism goes down when the vac goes down, or the vaccine rates.
I truly don't know. I
Does
just
that make
don't know.
sense? Like,
yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't understand.
well, then it makes it look like they're doing something, just like how
Right.
the administration...
It's their way to manipulate. Are you like kind of saying that's their way to manipulate the data?
Yes, or they're like creating a problem and then they're like, oh,
Yeah.
let's just fix it. Like
Right.
the tariffs. I made so many deals that
Right.
when I made the problem.
Well, kind of like when they just stopped, they wanted to stop keeping track of COVID cases because if they stopped, or stop testing, because if you stop testing, then the number of cases went down. Yeah. We're so beyond, like, I just feel like I, as a relatively normal human being, I just don't have the thought process to understand what the hell they're doing anymore.
I think AI told us, like, months ago. The culling.
Yep, could be. So,
That's why my name is Depressed today.
I'm just
Sorry,
really, really freaking tired.
Yeah, sorry. You actually have to, like, save lives and shit. So.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't mind working. It's cool. But I have missed out on a lot of news this week because I haven't really had much time to, like, look at my phone.
Girl, I'm telling you, we are straight in autocracy, bitch.
Whew.
So, they be out here arresting judges.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I know we
that's
usually
really,
open up
really
with some Missouri
scary.
news, but that's like happening just in the last 24 hours, right? 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the circumstances behind that. So it was in Wisconsin, right? And
yes.
On April 25th, 2025, Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested by FBI agents at her courthouse. She faces 2 federal felony charges, obstruction of justice and concealing an individual to prevent arrest. The charges stem from an incident on April 18th when Dugan allegedly assisted Eduardo Flores Ruiz, an undocumented immigrant, in evading detention by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents. According to court documents, ICE agents were present at the courthouse to arrest him, he was scheduled to appear before Judge Dugan on unrelated domestic abuse charges. Upon learning of their presence, Dugan reportedly confronted the agents, questioned the validity of their administrative warrant, and directed them to consult with the court's chief judge. While the agents were away, she allegedly postponed the hearing and escorted Flores Ruiz and his attorney through a private exit, allowing him to temporarily evade arrest. Flores Ruiz was later apprehended outside the courthouse after a brief foot chase. The arrest has sparked significant political controversy. Democratic leaders, including Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers and Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, have condemned the move as an overreach of federal power and a threat to judicial independence. They argue that the arrest could intimidate judges and undermine the separation of power. Conversely, Republican officials contend that Dugan's actions constituted a serious breach of judicial duty.
Okay, do you have the actual, like, what was that from?
ChatGPT.
Nice.
I just said, what's the deal with Wisconsin judge getting arrested?
Let me see if I can find, like, the report. Okay, so according to the government's own documents, after the hearing ended, Judge Dugan allegedly pointed Flores Ruiz and his lawyer toward a non-public jury door, a back exit used by staff and jurors. How is that evading arrest? Because she didn't send them out the same door as she sent the ICE agents out?
Well, it sounds like she sent the ICE agents to go talk to somebody else, and then while they were there, she shooed them out the door, trying to help them get away. It's the way it sounds to me, but I don't know.
So you have to have a criminal warrant to pick them up. But so apparently I'm reading about Bondi. So the Alien Enemies Act is making it so they found a loophole in there where people can go, like they can go into your house without a warrant. I'll talk about that later because I don't know right now, but you'll have to read about that because that's not cool either. Candace Owens is done with Donald Trump, guys. This is the big deal. Big deal. Plot twist, Candace Owens regrets voting for Donald Trump and accuses him of destroying America's future. Okay, bitch, join the party. I will allow it for right now.
So, what has caused her about face, pray tell?
She probably looked at her fucking stocks.
Maybe.
Because she's not making money?
Well, usually the answer lies in following the money. You're probably right.
I never thought that I would see a day where I would be rooting for a university above Donald J. Trump and his administration. But I don't recognize his administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening. I have a theory. I do. We were kicking around some theories earlier, me and the team, and we were going, how could Trump be such a free speech enthusiast and allowing these things to happen? Going after college universities, trying to suppress speech, while pretending that you're not suppressing speech, while pretending that you're fighting DEI. It's so messy. It's so obvious. Everyone knows what you're doing. People who are still trying to grift, I suppose, are not willing to challenge you on this, which is ridiculous because when you are out of office, we are going to have to live with these consequences. Our children are going to have to grow up in this America. Okay. So when you threaten our speech, it's not worth it so that we can have pom-poms and go hurrah for a couple of years, then go, okay, well, yeah, now it kind of stinks because, we're getting arrested for wrongthink. We got David Friedman. Yeah, arrest him. Arrest Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Get them. I love it. And if you think it's going to stop with college campuses, you're out of your mind. So you better buck up and root for Harvard University in this fight.
Ooh, this is good for Missouri, though. Kansas City sues RFK over cuts to vaccination and disease testing funds. Cutting these programs now is not just short-sighted, it's dangerous, the director of the Kansas City Health Department said, because measles are fucking going around. Measles. And bird flu's freaking me out. COVID is still around, y'all. Just because we don't test for it doesn't, I know people think if you ignore it, it goes away. Let me tell you, from working in healthcare, that is untrue. Okay? That's untrue.
Have you seen The Pit, the show The Pit?
No, I haven't.
There's an episode about one of the characters is trying to explain to parents about, caring for their kid with measles. I think it was measles. Yeah. It's interesting.
I know that there's freedom of whatever, but if your kid dies from a preventable disease, at what point is it neglect? I don't know. Just
the thing is you guys have all probably heard of herd immunity, where, enough of the people are immune to something because they're vaccinated that a disease doesn't travel through that population. But, when they become vulnerable, it's because enough of them can get the contagion, right? So under normal circumstances, when most people haven't lost their minds, it's okay because it's not going to travel through that population anyway, even if there's a couple nutballs out there that don't want to get vaccinated for stupid reasons. But when that reaches a critical mass, then everybody's at risk. So you're right. It's hard to know. When times are good and it's not that big of a deal, sure, knock yourself out. Don't get vaccinated. Everybody else is going to protect you. But then here we are
It is crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. The propaganda's crazy. I topped all mine off before this because they're also getting rid of all the food
Yeah,
inspections.
what's up with
So
that? My God.
you're gonna be shitting and barfing.
Oh, gosh. I mean, it
Yeah.
feels like we could all get together around wanting to have a safe food supply.
No,
Like, and
people don't want to spend the money. They're like, I'm not gonna get food poisoning. I got an iron stomach.
well, I realize that, a lot of people would argue that our food supply is not safe for other reasons, because there's,
Additives.
this additive or that food dye or this chemical or that. Okay, I get what you're saying. I get that. But it feels pretty basic to just rule out like bacterias that'll make us all sick or common,
Okay, let
common
me just
stuff.
my Mexico story, correct? No? You
I
know,
think, yeah, I know
you
your Mexico story. I'm having trouble remembering the details, but I know if you started to tell me,
Russ
I'm like,
and the
oh, yeah.
boxers.
Oh, of course. Yes. I forgot that was in Mexico.
Okay, should I tell people the story so that they would like food inspectors?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to hear Tina's boxer story from Mexico? I think it's a funny story.
I feel like it's vital to understanding why we need food inspectors and clean water. Okay,
I'm gonna
so
sit back with my Coke here and
yeah, 6 years ago. Okay, first time we went to Mexico, me and my husband, probably a year in dating. Okay, we're like in love, you know, and we go to Mexico and stay in this it was a pretty nice hotel, all inclusive. And everybody before we went was like, don't drink the water. And I'm like, I got this. Bottled water it is, which, and I was pretty good about it. The ice, but it wasn't too bad. And I was good the whole time I was there. And on the last night we were there, I got a tuna steak from the hotel and I said I wanted it well done and it was not well done. After I'd taken a bite or two, I was like, I'm not going to do this. This is a bad idea. I'm not going to do this. So one bite of this tuna steak that was not well done. Okay. Maybe I was a little hungover and maybe my GI tract was a little off, but I make it home because we leave early in the morning. So that's how I feel like I know it was the tuna steak, dude, because of the timing. And I started shitting and it was bad, but I was like, okay, surely this will be good in the morning. Plot twist, not good in the morning. Okay. So we're 36 hours in and I am seriously this is ridiculous. There's nothing left. And so we were not living together at the time. And so I was at his house because I was seriously this has to be done soon. No
I mean,
other.
it has to be out of your system soon.
Yeah,
over.
yes.
Yeah.
There is nothing left. This is a long time.
How did you even make it home? That's a long flight.
It was 16 hours total time till and it was I woke up in the middle and I was pooping, but I made it to the toilet. Okay. So, okay. So we're 48 hours in. I do not feel good. I'm at his house, but I'm surely this is almost done soon. Well, he fell asleep downstairs playing video games. So that was lucky. This is really lucky because I wake up. It's 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh my God, did I just hot fart in my pants? It felt weird, but I don't know. And I was surely I didn't poop, right? And so I'm oh my God, I fucking shit already. It wasn't I woke up with a stabbing cramp. It was it's already out. And I was leaking out. So
oh no.
Yeah, and I'm I don't even know what to do. I've never had this happen to me as an adult. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
oh man, what did you do next?
So I hobble to the shower and take my pants off, throw them in the washer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so shower, put a towel down, lay back down, wake up 2 hours later, sure enough, leaking out again.
Oh no.
And I'm okay, this is fucking ridiculous. So do the whole thing again, switch over the laundry. So also a little information. So about a month earlier, we got a new washer and dryer. So we got one of those really cool ones that the washer does not have an agitator in it. Okay, remember that. So go back to bed. Surely there's nothing else left to shit. I'd also ran out of my pajama pants, and we did not live together. So I grabbed a pair of his boxers, put them on, lay another towel down, go back to sleep, wake up. I know what to do now. Like, I've done this 3rd time. We're good. So I like take the boxers off, wrap them up in the towel, switch the washer over, wash them, blah, blah, blah. So whatever. I was sick for about a week. It was fucked up. I had to take a little bit of Flagyl because of one bite of rare tuna steak from Mexico at a resort. So a month goes by or so. I'm at work and I get a text from Russ, not my husband yet. And he's like, hey, did you, when you were sick, did you like shit in my boxers? And I was like, oh my God. Like, what the fuck? I washed them. Like, oh my God. I don't get embarrassed, Lisa. I don't get embarrassed. And I'm like, I was like, oh my God, just put my shit out on the front porch. Don't talk to me ever again. Why? And he's like, I've been sitting in crumbs all morning. He had like a dentist appointment and he was sitting at the dentist. And he's like, I had to throw my underwear away at the dentist in the bathroom because I was sitting in your shit crumb. So what had happened was I must have put the put the boxers and like rolled them up in the towel, I guess, and threw it in the wash, and it must have like stayed wrapped up or something. I don't know. That's not healthy or clean. And he's like, he was like, just throw them away next time. And I'm like, don't even act like you don't dig out like the shirt I try to throw away that has huge holes in the armpit. It's your favorite.
But yet you stayed together. How about that?
I was pretty fucking embarrassed, but it was good. So that's why you want food inspections, okay?
And have you eaten a tuna steak since then? Or is that like a never again event?
Yeah, no, that's only if I throw up that I have a never again event. Okay.
So folks,
he still married me. He married me. But yeah, you want food inspections, but they're gutting it. So go drink raw
I see what
milk.
you did there.
Hey. Sorry, we needed to lighten it up there a little bit.
Heck
because this is trash also. Donald Trump, okay, he's weaponizing his, so that's another thing that I feel like people argue with me about. They're like, oh, Joe Biden like weaponized the DOJ. I'm like, no, literally Donald Trump is he issued a presidential directive calling for a federal investigation into Act Blue, which is the Democrat platform that takes donations. Mm-hmm. So what is that called? That is like suppressing your political opponent, right? Okay. Yeah. Which is literally the number one thing, like start of going into fascism. And then it's controlling the media, which also, didn't you just sue like 60 Minutes for like $20 billion because he didn't like what they put on 60 Minutes. Like, I feel like 60 Minutes is very like investigative journalism that is true to its
it usually seems pretty well researched, doesn't it?
Yes. And Donald Trump didn't like something that he did, and so now the main journalist guy was like, I'm not working here anymore. Like, it doesn't match my values. So I hope everybody is paying the fuck attention to who is bending the knee to this tyrant. Remember it. It's painful. I'm always looking for breadcrumbs or poop crumbs.
Oh my God, what a story.
But like, this is dystopian, guys.
Yeah. And there's a chapter in Professor Snyder's book on tyranny,
who's
chapter
also
18.
leaving the country because he knows what the fuck is coming, and he knows he's the next on the list.
Chapter 18 is Be Calm When the Unthinkable Arrives.
I'm calm, Lisa. I'm calm. Just kidding. I need to breathe.
You're calm like a serene mountain lake, Tina, like with not a wave in sight, not even a little pebble.
You know what? When it actually comes down to it, I can do it. I can do it. I just freak out before and after.
Yeah. It says modern tyranny is terror management.
Literally, guys. Domestic terrorism. Why don't you read that? Just
you want me to?
I think that's what we need to kind of
end with.
I
can do that. Excuse me. So Chapter 18, Be Calm When the Unthinkable arrives. Modern tyranny is terror management. When the terrorist attacks come, remember that authoritarians exploit such events in order to consolidate power. The sudden disaster that requires the end of checks and balances, the dissolution of opposition parties, the suspension of freedom of expression, the right to a fair trial, and so on, is the oldest trick in the Hitlerian book. Do not fall for it. The Reichstag fire was the moment when Hitler's government, which came to power mainly through democratic means, became the menacingly permanent Nazi regime. It is the archetype of terror management. On February 27, 1933, at about 9 p.m., the building housing the German parliament, the Reichstag, began to burn. Who set the fire that night in Berlin? We don't know, and it doesn't really matter. What matters is this spectacular act of terror initiated the politics of emergency. Gazing with pleasure at the flames that night, Hitler said, "This fire is just the beginning." Whether or not the Nazis set the fire, Hitler saw the political opportunity. There will be no mercy now. Anyone standing in our way will be cut down. The next day, a decree suspended the basic rights of all German citizens, allowing them to be, quote, preventively detained, unquote, by the police. On the strength of Hitler's claim that the fire was a work of German enemies, or Germany's enemies, the Nazi Party won a decisive victory in parliamentary elections on March 5th. The police and Nazi paramilitaries began to round up members of the left-wing political parties and place them in impoverished concentration camps. On March 23, the new parliament assembled an, quote, enabling act, unquote, which allowed Hitler to rule by decree. Germany then remained in a state of emergency for the next 12 years until the end of the Second World War. Hitler had used an act of terror, an event of limited inherent significance, to institute a regime of terror that killed millions of people and changed the world. The authoritarians of today are also terror managers, and if anything, they are rather more creative. Consider the current Russian regime, so admired by the president. Vladimir Putin not only came to power in an incident that strikingly resembled the Reichstag fire, he then used a series of terror attacks, real, questionable, and fake, to remove obstacles to total power in Russia. When Putin was appointed prime minister by a failing Boris Yeltsin in 1999, he was an unknown with a nugatory approval rating. The following month, a series of buildings were bombed in Russian cities, apparently by the Russian secret state police. Its officers were arrested by their own colleagues with evidence of their guilt. In another case, the Speaker of Russian Parliament announced an explosion a few days before it took place. Nonetheless, Putin declared a war of revenge against Russia's Muslim population in Chechnya, promising to pursue the supposed perpetrators and, quote, rub them out in the shithouse, unquote. The Russian nation rallied. Putin's approval rating skyrocketed. The following March, he won presidential elections. In 2002, after Russian security forces killed scores of Russian civilians while suppressing a real terrorist attack at Moscow Theater, Putin exploited the occasion to seize control of private television. After a school in Beslan was besieged by terrorists in 2004 in strange circumstances that suggested a provocation, Putin did away with the position of elected regional governors. Thus, Putin's rise to power and his elimination of two major institutions, private television and elected regional governorships, were enabled by the management of real, fake, and questionable terrorism. After Putin returned to the presidency in 2012, Russia introduced terror management into its foreign policy. In its invasion of Ukraine in 2014, Russia transformed units of its own regular army into a terrorist force, removing insignia from uniforms and denying all responsibility for the dreadful suffering they inflicted. In the campaign for Donbas region of the southeastern Ukraine, Russia deployed Chechen irregulars and sent units of its regular army based in Muslim regions to join the invasion. Russia also tried but failed to hack the 2014 Ukrainian presidential election. I'm going to reread that. Russia also tried but failed to hack the 2014 Ukrainian presidential election. In April 2015, Russian hackers took over the transmission of a French television station, pretended to be ISIS, and then broadcast material designed to terrorize France. Russia impersonated a cyber caliphate so that the French would fear terror more than they already did. The aim was presumably to drive voters to the far-right National Front, a party financially supported by Russia. After 130 people were killed and 368 injured in the terrorist attack of Paris in November 2015, the founder of a think tank close to the Kremlin rejoiced that terrorism would drive Europe toward fascism and Russia. Both fake and real Islamic terrorism in Western Europe, in other words, were thought to be the Russian interest. In early 2016, Russia manufactured a moment of fake terror in Germany. While bombing Syrian civilians and thus driving Muslim refugees to Europe, Russia exploited a family drama to instruct Germans that Muslims were rapists of children. The aim, again, seems to have been to destabilize a democratic system and promote the parties of the extreme right. The previous September, the German government had announced that it would take 500,000 refugees from the war in Syria. Russia then began bombing campaign in Syria that targeted civilians. Having provided the refugees, Russia then supplied the narrative. In January 2016, the Russian mass media spread a story that a girl of Russian origin in Germany who had momentarily gone missing had been serially raped by Muslim immigrants. With suspicious alacrity, right-wing organizations in Germany organized protests against the government. When the local police informed the population that no rape had taken place, Russian media accused them of a cover-up. Even Russian diplomats joined the spectacle. When the American president speaks of fighting terrorism alongside Russia, what he is proposing to the American people is terror management, the exploitation of real, dubious, and simulated terror attacks to bring down democracy. The Russian recap of the first telephone call between President Vladimir Putin is telling. The two men, quote, shared the opinion that it is necessary to join forces against the common enemy number one, international terrorism and extremism, unquote. For tyrants, the lesson of the Reichstag fire is that one moment of shock enables an eternity of submission. For us, the lesson is that our natural fear and grief must not enable the destruction of our institutions. Courage does not mean fearing. Courage does not mean not fearing or not grieving. It does mean recognizing and resisting terror management right away from the moment of the attack, precisely when it seems most difficult to do so. James Madison nicely made the point that tyranny arises, quote, on some favorable emergency, unquote. After the Reichstag fire, Hannah Arendt wrote that, quote, I was no longer of the opinion that one can simply be a bystander, unquote. End of chapter.
That's why we're not. That's why we're not. And all of those schools and attorneys and companies that are standing up to this, like, you cannot give them an inch or they'll never stop.
Yeah.
Oh God, we're already on 18.
Yep.
There's only 20 guys.
It's true.
And Timmy's leaving the U.S.
Peace out. He knows. This is what he does for a living.
He's
understand
like,
this stuff. Yeah.
We really accelerated to 18 quit.
Yeah, didn't take long.
No, actually it didn't. And we should have saw this coming and we didn't. And like, what? These little why we're letting Putin and yam tits do this, guys? No. Okay, well, now I'm back to depressed. The title of this
time to
is
sign off.
Gonna be terror management and shitty boxers.
Oh God. What a story.
A tale of
two shitties.
A tale of terror
fascism and Tina's boxers.
And shit crumbs. No agitator.
No agitator. That's my favorite.
Okay, because you don't like. I'm telling you, the cuss words get more.
Okay, we talked about absolutely no Missouri politics, but that's okay because we'll be back over the weekend sometime. Yes, we will.
Oh yeah, because we need to talk about Mike Kehoe.
Yeah,
he's another crummy agitator. A crummy agitator. Okay, I gotta go to bed.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Peace out.
Sweet dreams. Sleep on a towel.